I'm showing here the internal components of the plasma fuel reactor injector spark plug. This is the assembled plasma fuel reactor injector spark plug. What you're looking at here is the 12 volt to 5 volt DC to DC converter going to the 500 kilovolt plasma ignition driver coil. In this clip I'm showing you the DC to DC converter driving the 500 kilovolt plasma ignition coil to the plasma fuel injector spark plug inserted into the test cylinder head. Here you are going to see the front view of my fully flooded single split diamond shaped dry cell, also known as an electrolyzer. There's a 12 volt power input protected by a 15 amp fuse. The water molecules are split within the cell from each side. The hydroxy fuel travels through the manifold, through the safety devices called bubblers, through the gauge regulator, then a check valve, to a water or moisture trap, to two custom flashback arresters. I will show you the rear view next. Here is a view of the back of the electrolyzer. I'm showing you the 12 volt power input. There's a 15 amp blade fuse. The power goes in to the back of the cell and the ground is terminated at the front of the cell. Here's the second bubbler, another check valve, and just like the front of the cell, the gas is made, comes from the manifold, and goes over the cell to the other bubbler, the regulator, the other check valve, moisture trap, to flashback arresters. What I'm showing you here is a 12 volt lead acid battery with 940 cranking amp capacity and a 750 cold cranking amp capacity. This is your charge cable in to charge the battery, and here's your 3 cigarette lighter power outlet adapters, and here's your voltage meter. This is your positive terminal, your negative terminal with a quick release for safety reasons. The battery is currently at 12.59 volts. Now what you're seeing here is my custom air-cooled 12-volt power supply. It's got a 20 amp capacity. Here's my AC in. Here's my 12-volt out. And here's my charge rate indicator with a 12 amp capacity on the indicator. I built this power supply to simulate the alternator in your vehicle. In this clip here, we have our 12-volt charger going to our battery, and our battery supplying the 12 voltage to the electrolyzer. Our electrolyzer is warmed up and operating, and the hydroxy fuel is coming through the flashback arresters into this bowl of water. This demonstration is for those who are unfamiliar with water fuel or hydroxy, also known as Brown's gas. I'm doing this demonstration to show you how clean the fuel is and how volatile the fuel is. Next, I will be attaching the electrolyzer to a micro torch so you can also see how clean burning the fuel is. Here we have the electrolyzer already warmed up and running with the micro torch attachment. I'm going to zoom in on the head of the torch. Even with the white backdrop, you cannot tell that the torch is already lit. So I'm going to zoom back, and I'm going to take a piece of paper, something flammable, to hold over the tip of the torch to prove that the torch is already lit. This demonstration is to show the cleanliness of the fuel. This fuel is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. There are no carbons. Hence why you cannot see the flame or there's no black soot. And for now, what we've all been looking for, a fuel to power our vehicles that's non-toxic and abundant. This is the revealing of my plasma phase transition engine prototype. This is not an internal combustion engine, and this is also known as longitudinal magneto-dielectric field, and it's also known as scalar wave propagation. Now that you've seen my on-demand water fuel apparatus, the electrolyzer, I will first show you the plasma ignition system that runs at 500 kilovolts off the 12-volt battery. Here's a mirror so you can see inside the cylinder head. Obviously not a normal ignition system. Here I've got the whole system up and running. I'm going to do a quick overview of the components before I show you the water fuel going into the plasma fuel reactor injector spark plug, and then running through a plasma phase transition. First we have our charger, which charges our battery. We have our outlets on our battery, which powers our electrolyzer and also powers our DC to DC converter, which powers in turn our 500 kilovolt ignition coil driver. And now I've got the water fuel apparatus with the flashback arresters hooked up to the injector, and that's about it. The next clip you will be seeing a phase transition of hydroxy fuel. This is for all the skeptics who don't think that water has the available energy to power our cars, our homes, or whatever we'd like to power. As you can see, the fuel is being made from a cigarette lighter, and the ignition is also being run from a cigarette lighter. So those who understand electricity know that we can't be using a whole lot of electricity or current in those little small wires there. And I can also do this demonstration without the charger hooked up, but I like to keep it hooked up so I'm not pulling my battery down. In the real world, if this was installed in a vehicle, the vehicle running would turn an alternator which would charge the battery, and the battery would make the fuel on demand and also run the engine. So here we go. I'm going to hit the ignition switch here and over here in the cylinder. This is a test cylinder, not a complete engine yet, but you will see that this is not internal combustion because it's open to the atmosphere. So here we go. We'll just wait 1 second, and here we go. And I'm going to do one more before people think I'm shooting a 12 gauge. Okay guys, at nighttime you can actually see the photon energy, the light, coming through the cylinder head. Anyway, there you go. For all the skeptics, we're that much closer to putting water in the gas tank instead of gasoline. No need for hydrocarbons. We can actually clean the air by running our engines. Peace out. One more quick thing I forgot to tell you guys about. Here's this thing unplugged. Here's the cigarette input. So it's completely unplugged, not running now. And in reverse, this is actually a reversible unitized fuel cell. So it's a proton exchange membrane actually making power. And if I zoom in here, you can see this little pulse motor I built running off the reserve energy left in the electrolyzer when I'm not using it. So it's also a storage device for electricity, sort of like a battery. And right now I have it vented to the atmosphere. If I actually close off the regulator, it will store the gas inside and produce more electricity for a longer period of time. So there you go. This little motor I made out of a Ford power steering pump lid and some sewing machine bobbins, reed switch, and there's the leads going to one plate there, the positive, and then a lead over here. It's sort of hard to see, but it's going up in here to the negative plate. Anyway, this electrolyzer is a 3-plate I believe 4 gasket. Pretty simple. Okay, catch you guys later.